Okay, so this is the chain rule. So we've learned the chain rule when you have a function inside of a function. So right here we have e to the x, but we have this function inside of it. So the chain rule tells us that we can split up our function into its two parts and then take the derivative of each part. So we have to pick our u. Our u is always our inside function. So x squared, this quadratic, x squared plus 4 has been plugged into our exponential. So that is our u, x squared plus 4. So then we rewrite our equation y in terms of u. So if we actually plugged our function u back in here, we would end up with this equation. It's a composite. Then we take the derivative of each one with respect to its variable. So dy over du equals e to the u, because the derivative of e to the u is e to the u. Then du over dx is going to be the derivative of x squared plus 4, which is 2x. Then we multiply to find dy over dx. So dy over dx equals e to the u times 2x. And then we simplify a little bit. So I move the 2x out front times e, and instead of writing u, we're plugging back in what we picked for u, which is x squared plus 4. And you can see that even though we have e and we have this x squared plus 4, since the derivative of e to the x is e to the x, so the derivative of e to the x squared plus 4 still has e to the x squared plus 4 in it. And that is our derivative. Okay. We got some trig. Okay. Now, same thing. I have this cosine function. Now, this has been what's plugged in for x. Normally, it would be cosine x, but you can clearly see this has been plugged in to our x. Okay, so I still have a function inside of a function. I have a cubic inside the cosine. So again, we pick our u, which is 6x cubed, then rewrite y in terms of u, cosine u. We take the derivative of both. So dy over du equals, and the derivative of cosine is negative sine. Then the derivative of u with respect to x is going to be 18x squared. Then we multiply. So we get dy over dx equals negative sine u times 18x squared. But again, we can't leave u in it, and we usually put our x's in front of our trig, so we end up with negative 18x squared sine of 6x cubed. And that is our derivative. Now, our next one. Here, and again, the product rule is probably one of the most missed concepts that we do in calculus. Right here, if you read it, this is y equals x times the natural log of 2x. So you can clearly see our main idea for this derivative is obviously doing product rule. Okay. Now, inside this product rule we have going on, we also have a chain rule because we have a 2x inside the natural log. Okay, and we'll worry about that when we get to it. Okay, so we want to take the derivative, y prime equals, and this is where it gets tricky. Okay, so I'm doing product rule, so derivative first. The derivative of x is 1 times the natural log of 2x plus x times, now we have to take the derivative of natural log. To take the derivative of this, I have to do chain rule. So over here, I'm going to write my chain rule. So u equals 2x, because that's the inside, and y equals ln u, like that. Then we take the derivative, so dy over du equals 1 over u, and du over dx equals 2. Okay, then we multiply them, so the dy over dx equals 1 over u times 2. And again, we can't leave this with the u in it, so we plug back in our 2x. So we get 2 over 2x, which is 1 over x. So that right here is our derivative for ln of 2x. So we have to put that in now, which is 1 over x. And this is our derivative, but we want to simplify that a little bit. So our y prime is going to be equal to the natural log of 2x plus x times 1 over x is 1. And this is the problem I have with that word cancel that a lot of people use. Because technically right here, if you would put this as x over x right there, when you multiply, most people would say, oh, that cancels, and you would say that that is 0. And it's not 0, it's obviously 1. So you need to be very, very careful with the way you express yourself. Okay? But this right here is your answer. And then our last problem, okay? Again, we're taking the derivative, okay? So we notice we have x squared times e to the pi x, okay? So again, this is not just e to the x. There is something plugged in here. It's not just x, so I have chain rule. But our main idea is still product rule. So that's where I'm starting. So y prime, the derivative of the first is 2x times the second, e to the pi x, plus x squared times, and now is where I'm doing my chain rule. Notice I don't have to do chain rule until I get to this point in product rule. And again, u is my inside, so it is pi x, y equals e to the u. So dy over du equals e to the u. Du over dx equals pi, because pi is a number, not a variable, so it's just the constant in front of x. So my dy over dx is pi times e to the pi x. And that's what we put right here for this part. So it's pi times e to the pi x. Now, if I would bet money if this was on the AP exam, they would have it rewritten like this. They would have seen this e to the pi x and e to the pi x, and they would have taken out their common factor, and they might have even pulled out an x as well. So it would not shock me if they rewrote the answer like this. Where they pulled out their greatest common factor. Okay, but on a multiple choice, obviously if you could get to this part right here, then you'd be able to figure out that that is the answer. But yes, this is the derivative right there.